In this video, we're going to learn how to find sources for my research project. So where are we in the process? We're in the undergraduate research process, at least we're learning about it. And currently we are in the stage of looking for sources and materials. So the goal for this is I will need to learn the three levels of sources: primary, secondary, and tertiary. So what are they? What do these words mean? Right? So what are the different types of sources? So the first kind of source is called the primary source, and that's information that you got firsthand, that you went out there and you got it. All right. So an example would be like archaeologists would go out there and they would dig up, let's say, mummies and pieces of mummies and bone shards and pottery shards. And those are things that they got firsthand that they're analyzing. All right. Observations, surveys, interviews that you went, created, and got. All right. So you went out there and you did all these different things, right? So you went out there to like interview people, and then you like wrote down their comments, or you did a survey. You created a survey and had people do it. So those are primary sources, data that you went out and there got. All right. The second one, obviously, secondary sources. Secondary sources are information that other experts got. All right. So it wasn't you. You would be the expert if you were doing primary sources, and then you write it up. Secondary information, secondary sources are information that other people went and did that, right? And those could be like in journal articles, books, essays, critical essays. So a lot of the material that we're going to look at when we're in the undergraduate research process is going to be secondary sources. All right, it's like not stuff that we gathered, but what other people did. Okay, and then the third one is called tertiary sources. And tertiary sources, that's information that is summarized. All right, and those would be like encyclopedias, like Wikipedia, dictionaries, summaries, etc. So those things are like the least like official kind of things. They're the least detailed. They're just summaries. And that could be the reason why that many instructors are going to say like, hey, don't use Wikipedia, because a majority of the time it's a summary. So it's not information that's like a secondary source that experts are writing about. It's someone who summarized what a bunch of experts have done. Now, Wikipedia's benefit, unlike encyclopedias many times, is that it'll have a set of references that are links to those secondary sources. And that's the beauty of Wikipedia, and how I describe Wikipedia is an on-ramp to a freeway. All right, it's not your destination. It gets you on the road to get you to the destination. When you go to Wikipedia, scroll down to the references, and those secondary sources are the road that are going to take you to whatever learning and new ideas that you're going to get. Okay, so tertiary sources, be careful of that. A lot of times when you go on to, let's say, Gale, it'll summarize a lot of the information for you automatically, and AI will do this. And the problem is AI is like a tertiary source where it provides a lot of these summaries. So it's not necessarily reliable in the sense that compared to like secondary sources, which are published and edited and things like that. It functions more like a tertiary source. Okay. So be careful also of AI hallucinations, because they might summarize things broken, because it's not a human. It's not a brain that's like critically thinking about like creating stuff. It's going to put it together. The algorithms are going to make something that looks like it, but unless you're really going through it, it may be wrong. So where do you start? Especially for my class, we got to learn how to work with specifically secondary sources. All right, so we're not looking at like Wikipedia or AI summaries and things like that. We're going to look at journal articles and we're going to summarize them ourselves. All right, partly because when we do research, it's all about us. It's all about me and the way I look at things. All right, so I'm going to look at what other people have thought and found, and then for me, I'm going to react to that. So it's all about you as the human seeing that information and explaining it. Okay, so we're primarily going to work with secondary sources. So then, well, how can I use AI for it then? Logical question, right? You can use AI to help you generate keywords to help you search for materials. So this is a place where AI can ethically help you find stuff, right? So they can help you find some sources or authors. Now be careful, because it can hallucinate and create sources and authors because it just wants to give you an answer, right? So it can end up creating these sources versus them actually being real ones. So you need to check to see if they exist. Okay, but it can definitely help you generate keywords. So if you're like thinking, well, I'm going to do like mummies, what are other words that are related to mummies that other people have done? And AI can generate that to help you do searches when you're looking for those sources. All right, so it's really a helpful tool to get you like synonyms and other keywords. Okay, so that's where we're going to begin. Is like, okay, we're going to look at secondary sources, and we can use AI to help us generate those things. If you're in my class, you're going to get more directions in Google Classroom about what are we going to do with secondary sources. Just what kind do we need to get.